You want to know what separates the ones who finish from the ones who fade? It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the decision to show up. When it hurts, when it's dark, when no one believes in you but you. Most people stop when it gets uncomfortable. Champions, they begin there. This isn't about hype. This isn't about feeling good. This is about who you become when everything is on the line and you still choose to rise. You came here for greatness? Then let's talk about what it really takes. You say you want to be great, but do you? Because greatness has a price, and it's not just sweat. It's not just discipline. It's sacrifice. It's obsession. It's the willingness to be misunderstood. You can't whisper your dreams and expect the world to scream your name. There comes a moment in your life when you stop asking for approval, when you stop waiting for someone to tell you you're ready, when you stop explaining your hunger, your drive, your silence. That's the moment you start walking like you already own the court. Not because someone gave it to you, because you decided, this is mine. That's the mindset of a winner. It's not something you read about. It's not something you pretend to have when the lights are on. It's a decision. A brutal, lonely decision to choose first place or nothing at all. Not second, not close enough, not I did my best. No, first or nothing. You start walking different when you think like that. You move with weight, with clarity. You don't need to convince people anymore. You don't recruit them. You don't plead for belief. You either see what I'm building or get out of my way. That's what Kobe lived. He wasn't hoping to be great. He didn't wish to be accepted. He didn't sit in the shadows waiting for the moment to pick him. He declared it loudly, relentlessly, and then he backed it up every single day. You want first place? Come play with me. You want second place? Go somewhere else. That wasn't trash talk. That was truth. Because if you're serious about being elite, truly elite, you can't afford to let people around you drag their feet. You don't have time to wait for others to get serious. You don't have space in your life for lukewarm energy. You're either chasing greatness or you're slowing someone else down. People think obsession is unhealthy, but mediocrity is what's toxic. Living every day unsure of yourself, holding back, second guessing, dimming your own light. That's not noble. That's slow death. Obsession is clarity. When you're locked in, when your heart, your breath, your routine, your energy, your relationships, your thoughts, when all of it points in one direction, everything else becomes background noise. You don't need to say much. Your actions scream. You show up early. You stay late. You perfect the details. You prepare for moments that may never even come. Because if they do, you'll be ready. People will misunderstand you. They'll call it arrogance. They'll call it selfishness. But that's because they've never tasted obsession. They've never stood at the edge of everything and said, I'm going all in. It's not about being better than them. It's about becoming what you know you can be. It's about honoring the fire that's already burning in you and not letting the world talk you into playing small. You will lose people. Not everyone will follow. Not everyone will believe. But you're not here for everyone. You're here for one mission, and you've got no time to apologize for the size of it. When Kobe stepped onto the court, he didn't wait to be invited into greatness. He brought it with him. He didn't care if you liked him. He didn't care if you were ready. He cared about winning, about proving to himself, not to the world, that every ounce of work, every drop of sweat, every painful rep in the dark meant something. That's what you need to understand. You don't rise to the top because it feels good. You rise because you refuse to live any other way. You don't get there on balance. You don't get there by pleasing everyone. You get there by drawing a line and saying, this is who I am, and this is where I'm going. You're either with me or you're out of the way. You don't need to yell it. You don't need to post it. You live it. Obsession doesn't make you crazy. It makes you dangerous. It makes you the kind of person people don't want to compete with, because you're not just talented, you're focused, you're relentless, you're willing to do what others won't. And that's the difference between playing the game and owning it, between showing up and showing up like you already won. It all begins with one choice, not a complicated one, not even a loud one, just a clear, final, permanent one. First place or nothing. But here's what most people don't see. When you make that decision, when you really choose it, something changes in you. You don't look for motivation anymore. You don't chase hype or applause. You start seeing everything differently. Every struggle becomes training. Every failure becomes feedback. Every minute becomes a tool. And the entire world opens up, if you know what you're looking for. Because once the decision is made, your mind sharpens. You don't waste time anymore. You don't look for comfort. You look for fuel. And that's where we go next. Once you decide that first place is the only option, everything around you changes. The way you see the world shifts. You stop looking at training as a session. You stop viewing effort as something you clock in and out of. You start living inside the work. You breathe it. You absorb it. And you begin to realize that greatness doesn't only live in the gym. It lives in your choices, in your discipline, in what you do when no one's watching. That's the difference between those who dabble and those who dominate. Dabblers wait for structure. They wait for permission. But when you've chosen greatness, you don't wait for the perfect time to work. You create it. You find ways to grow in every moment because the world has become your gym. Every setback is a rep. Every mistake is a study session. Every interaction, every detail becomes part of your evolution. Kobe didn't just train more than everyone else. He trained deeper. He used every ounce of information around him to sharpen himself. He watched tape. He dissected movements. He learned from opponents, from legends, from unlikely sources. He didn't need hype or applause to stay hungry. His growth wasn't fueled by validation. It was fueled by curiosity. He turned learning into a weapon, and that's what you have to do. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need someone to check in on you every day. You need awareness. You need intention. You need to start seeing every moment as a chance to get better. Whether you're working out or walking down the street, if you're truly locked in, everything becomes training. And yes, most people won't get it. They'll call you obsessive. They'll say you're taking it too far. But that's because they don't understand what it takes. They don't know what it means to chase mastery, not moments. They don't see that every extra minute you spend getting sharper is a minute someone else is wasting. And when the pressure comes, when the lights are on, and it's time to deliver, they'll wonder how you made it look easy. You didn't. You just made everything count. So look at your life. Look at your time. Look at your distractions. Ask yourself if they're feeding you or draining you. Because once you choose to train beyond limits, the entire world becomes your arena. You stop looking for ways to escape. You start looking for ways to evolve. And once you start seeing it that way, you never go back. Everyone talks about talent like it's everything. Like if you weren't born with it, you should sit down, stay quiet, and accept your place. But talent is only a start line. It fades when things get hard. It crumbles when pressure builds. And if that's all you depend on, you'll break when it matters most. Kobe didn't rely on natural gifts. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the tallest. His vertical didn't break records. His hands weren't massive. But he never used any of that as an excuse. He never said, I'm not built for this. He said, okay, so how do I beat them anyway? That's what turns you dangerous. Most people hide their flaws. They avoid the parts of themselves that aren't strong yet. But Kobe did the opposite. He hunted them. He stared at every weakness like it was an assignment. Couldn't palm the ball easily? Straighten the hands. Not quick enough? Study angles. Can't out-jump them? Learn to outthink them. He treated every shortcoming as something that could be solved. And if you want to be great, so should you. Skill isn't a gift, it's a decision. It's a long-term, thankless grind that turns limitations into advantages. And the truth is, most people won't stick with it. They rather blame what they don't have than build what they need. But that's why they stay behind. Because while they're complaining, you're adapting. The key isn't to chase someone else's strengths. It's to own your own path. Learn the game deeper. Watch more film. Study your mechanics. Test your reactions. Refine your timing. Get so precise, so surgical with your craft, that talent starts looking slow next to you. Because when pressure comes, skill wins. When you're tired, when it's overtime, when everything is on the line, you won't have time to think. You only have what you've built. And if you've built real skill, you won't panic. You'll execute. That's what people don't see when they watch greatness. They see highlights. They don't see hours spent attacking the same weak spot. They see dominance. They don't see how it started with discomfort, with honesty, with staring in the mirror and saying, this isn't good enough yet, but it will be. That's where real power lives. So stop trying to hide what you lack. Start building around it. Start breaking it down. Start turning it into something that no one else saw coming. Because when you do that, when you use your weaknesses as blueprints, not excuses, you become something talent alone can never touch. You become unstoppable by design. There's a moment before the storm where everything changes. It's quiet, still, and then something clicks. You're not the same person anymore. That's the switch. That's the line you cross when you stop thinking, stop overanalyzing, and step fully into the fight. Kobe had that switch. And if you want to rise to your highest level, you need it too. You can't bring your feelings into the arena. You can't bring hesitation. You can't bring the version of yourself that's still unsure. The second the game starts, the second life demands your best, you step into something else. You shift into that mode where nothing exists except the mission. For Kobe, that switch was sacred. He described it like entering a cage. Once he stepped in, he wasn't Kobe the friend, the father, the human being. He was something else entirely. He was locked in, focused, cold, ready. And he didn't flip that switch casually. It was deliberate, it was trained, and it allowed him to perform when everyone else folded. You need that switch, not just in games, but in life. When you wake up tired, when the world doubts you, when everything feels heavy, that's when you flip it. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait until you feel ready. You make the decision. This is who I am now. This is war, and I'm here to win it. But the switch doesn't mean losing your humanity. It means controlling it. It means knowing when to step out of your emotions and into your execution. It means having a gear most people never access because they're too afraid to let go of comfort, too afraid to become something more intense than what the world is used to. And that's why they lose. Because the mind never turned on, the fight never activated. Kobe trained that switch every day. He built rituals. He prepared mentally before he stepped onto the court. He created triggers, like a warrior sharpened his sword before battle. And when it was time, there was no hesitation, just presence, just performance. That's what you need. A way to activate the part of you that doesn't flinch, that doesn't care about doubt, that doesn't entertain fear. You need that inner warrior to take over when the stakes are highest. Because when pressure hits, it's not about how you feel, it's about what you do. And what you do depends on whether or not you've trained your mind to go to war. So build that switch, guard it, use it. And the next time life pushes, you won't break, you'll lock in. You can train your body, you can train your mind, but none of it matters if your ego stays in control. That's the weight that keeps you stuck. The voice that whispers, don't embarrass yourself. The voice that says, what will they think if you fail? It's the softest voice you'll ever hear and the most dangerous. Because ego will make you play small. It'll make you hide. It'll keep you from growing, just so you never have to feel exposed. You think you're protecting your pride, but really, you're just avoiding the work. Kobe understood this. He had nights where nothing went right. Air balls, missed chances, big moments that slipped through his hands. He didn't pretend it didn't hurt, but he didn't let that pain control him either. He didn't spiral into shame or hide behind excuses. He asked a different question. Why? Not emotionally, not dramatically, logically, quietly, with complete ownership. And that's where growth lives. Not in the moments where everything feels good, but in the ones where it doesn't. When your flaws are out in the open, when the world has a front row seat to your failure, that's where most people crumble. They think they're too important to be seen falling, too talented to mess up, too proud to admit they're not there yet. But that mindset kills greatness before it ever begins. If you really want to grow, you have to get over yourself. You have to be okay being seen in the middle of the climb. You have to accept that progress will sometimes look ugly and success will often feel humiliating. That's the cost of rising. Not everyone claps for you. Not everyone respects the grind, but that's not your concern. Your job is to outgrow the version of you that still cares. Kobe didn't let embarrassment define him. After missing those infamous shots early in his career, he didn't say, maybe this isn't for me. He looked at the facts. His legs weren't strong enough. He wasn't conditioned for that many games. So what did he do? He changed how he trained. He rebuilt his strength. He adjusted his preparation. And when the moment came again, he was ready. That's what happens when you drop the ego and pick up accountability. Ego will make you avoid truth, but truth is the only thing that builds champions. You have to be willing to look at yourself with clear eyes. No sugarcoating, no drama, just a question, what's missing? Not who's to blame, not how did this happen, just what's the next adjustment? And that's where most people fail, not because they lack talent, but because they can't admit they need to level up. They protect their image instead of their future. They want to look solid more than they want to be solid. But the ones who grow, they let go of pride. They stay raw. They stay coachable, even at the top, especially at the top. Because the higher you go, the easier it is to think you're above correction, above learning, above change. But that's the trap. That's how good becomes average. That's how hunger dies. Not from failure, but from comfort. From ego whispering, you've done enough. You haven't. You've only just begun. So the next time you feel exposed, good. That's where the power is. The next time you fall flat, pay attention. That's where the upgrade begins. And the next time you want to hide or defend or make it look like you've got it all together, don't. Just face it, own it, grow from it. Because the truth is, you're not that important, not yet. Not until you've earned it. And you don't earn it by protecting your ego. You earn it by killing it. So get over yourself and start becoming who you were meant to be. Most people think success is about intensity, about bursts of motivation, about doing something big and impressive when the moment comes. That's not how greatness works. Greatness doesn't show up for the sprint. It stays for the marathon. It doesn't ask who shines the brightest. It asks who stays the longest. Because in the end, it's not about talent. It's about endurance, about who's still standing when everyone else has tapped out. You want to be great? Do you need to outlast them? Not just once, not just for a season, forever. That's the part people don't want to hear. They like the idea of ambition. They love the excitement of the grind. But what happens when the excitement fades? What happens when no one's watching? What happens when the sacrifices start cutting deeper than you expected? That's where the average start making deals with themselves. I've done enough. I deserve a break. I'll pick it up again later. And maybe they will. But by the time they come back, you've already moved miles ahead. Because you didn't stop. You didn't slow down. You didn't negotiate with your standards. You kept going day after day. While they took a vacation, you took another step forward. While they waited for perfect timing, you created your own momentum. While they balanced their lives, you gave yours to the mission. That's not hype. That's sacrifice. Kobe didn't chase balance. He chased legacy. While others were hanging out, taking time off, enjoying the moment, he was working. He wasn't trying to be liked. He was trying to be remembered. And that meant losing a lot of things along the way. Relationships suffered, friendships faded, comfort disappeared. But he knew something most people never realize. Comfort and greatness can't live in the same space. One always eats the other, and he made his choice. People look at legends and only see what they gained, the money, the awards, the attention, but they never stop to ask what they gave up. They don't see the early mornings, the missed birthdays, the isolation, the quiet. They don't feel the weight of waking up every day and doing the hard thing, without applause, without permission, without relief. Because that's what real commitment feels like. And that's why most people don't make it. They want success to fit inside their lifestyle, but it won't. It breaks your routine. It breaks your relationships. It breaks every part of you that's soft. Until all that's left is discipline and drive and a version of yourself that doesn't quit when it's inconvenient. That's what Kobe built. Not just a body or a skill set, but a life that could carry the weight of his dream. A system, a rhythm, a commitment that didn't depend on how he felt, that didn't depend on motivation, that didn't flinch when things got hard. If you're serious about greatness, you have to build the same thing. You have to stop asking, how much do I need to give? And start asking, how far can I go? You have to stop comparing yourself to others and start outlasting them. You have to stop looking for the easy way and start embracing the lonely one. Because it is lonely. You'll miss out, you'll lose people, you wonder if it's worth it, and sometimes the answer won't be clear. But in those moments, you have to remember why you started. You have to remember what's waiting on the other side of sacrifice. And you have to be willing to keep moving, even when it hurts. That's what separates the obsessed from the interested. The obsessed don't just want it, they live for it. They don't just show up when it's easy. They show up because they don't know how not to. They don't ask for balance, they ask for fire. And they don't stop, because stopping means becoming like everyone else. And you didn't come this far to be like everyone else. You came to outlast them. So don't slow down, don't fall back, don't make peace with average. Build a life that can handle the weight of greatness. Make sacrifice your standard. Make endurance your identity. Because the ones who make it to the end, the ones whose names echo long after they're gone, they didn't get there on talent. They got there because they refused to stop. There's a point in every journey where your body screams for rest, your mind begs for a break, and your spirit starts to doubt. You've pushed hard, you've sacrificed, and still the weight keeps piling on. You're tired, you're beat up, you're not sure how much more you've got left in the tank, and that's where the world expects you to quit. But that's the exact moment you show up anyway. Because pain doesn't mean stop, it means prove it. Kobe knew pain. He knew the injuries, the sleepless nights, the swelling, the soreness, the silence that creeps in when your body can't keep up with your will. But he also knew something else, that the pain was part of the price, not a punishment, a path. If you weren't willing to feel it, to carry it, to compete with it, you weren't ready for greatness. Everyone loves to talk about grinding until it hurts. Everyone loves to talk about commitment until it costs. But showing up when you feel strong is easy. Anyone can perform when they're fresh, when the crowd's loud, when the lights are on and everything is clicking. But what about when it's dark? When your body is aching? When your confidence is low? What about the days no one would blame you for tapping out, and you still say, I'm here? That's not just discipline, that's identity. You have to decide what kind of person you are. Do you show up because it's convenient? Or do you show up because it's who you are? Because this is what you do. Because whether you're healthy or hurting, whether you're cheered or doubted, whether you're rested or broken, you show up. That's what Kobe did. There were nights his back was seizing up, nights when the logical thing was to sit out, nights when no one would have questioned him for staying home, but he laced up anyway. Not because it was smart, not because it was safe, but because he refused to let weakness write his story. And when you're chasing something that matters, you don't let pain write yours either. You start to understand that pain is a signal, not a sentence. It tells you what's hard. It tells you what needs attention. But it doesn't tell you who you are. Only you do that. And when you respond to pain with presence, with persistence, with power, you redefine your limits. Most people wait until they feel 100% to give 100%. That's why they never get anywhere. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect version of themselves. But greatness doesn't wait. It shows up incomplete. It shows up bruised, doubted, uncertain, and still finds a way to deliver. And yes, there are real limits. Sometimes rest is necessary. Sometimes the injury does need time. But most of the time, it's not the body that's failing, it's the mindset. It's the voice that says, you can't. The voice that says, it's okay to skip today. The voice that offers you comfort disguised as self-care. But you know the truth. You know when it's weakness pretending to be wisdom. You know when you're using pain as an excuse, not a reason. You know when you're avoiding the work, not protecting yourself, but protecting your ego. And when you know that, you only have one job: show up anyway. You may not be at your best, but you show up. You may not feel strong, but you show up. You may be hurt, tired, doubted, and overlooked, but you show up. Because if you only train, only lead, only perform when it feels good, then the second life gets real, you'll fold. And that's not what you came here to do. You came to rise. You came to push through the pain. You came to leave behind every excuse, every soft part of you, every reason you were told to give up. And you came to finish. So if today hurts, let it hurt. But don't sit down. Don't slow down. Don't disappear. Lace up, lock in, show up, and let the pain know you're not going anywhere. Greatness isn't limited to one field. It's not just about what you do on the court or on the stage or in the gym. It's about how you think, how you move, how you build. The real test isn't whether you can perform, it's whether you can take that same intensity, that same mindset, and apply it anywhere. Kobe didn't retire and disappear. He didn't slow down. He redirected the fire. Business, storytelling, creativity, leadership. He approached all of it with the same obsession that made him a legend in basketball. That's the lesson most people miss. The Mamba mentality isn't about basketball, it's about life. If you're serious about being great, you can't leave that mindset at the door. You don't clock out of excellence. You bring it into every room you enter, every conversation, every decision, every move. Whether you're building a team, launching a business, or creating something from scratch, you bring the same focus, the same edge, the same relentless hunger to be better. That means you don't chase easy wins. You don't settle for good enough. You look for challenges that scare you. You take on projects that make you doubt yourself. You choose the path that stretches you because you know that's where the growth lives. That's where the edge sharpens. When Kobe built his studio, he didn't surround himself with people who would play it safe. He looked for obsessives, people who questioned their limits, people who didn't just want to meet expectations, they wanted to destroy them. And that's what you have to do too. Whether you're leading a business, a family, or just your own life, you need to demand more from yourself and everyone around you. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means being committed. It means caring more than anyone else in the room. It means taking ownership of every outcome, even when things go wrong, especially when things go wrong. When you think like a CEO, you stop blaming, you start building, you stop waiting, you start leading. And whether it's on the court, in the office, or in your own head, you bring the same energy, the same intensity, the same drive to grow. Because once you learn how to think this way, you don't just win in one place. You start winning everywhere. You don't always get to choose how the story unfolds. Injuries happen, setbacks hit. The world changes the rules without warning. But there's one thing you always control: how you finish. You don't get the script every chapter, but the last page, that's yours to write. And if you've lived it right, trained it right, earned it right, then you get to walk off on your terms. That's what Kobe did. The game didn't retire him. Pain didn't break him. Failure didn't chase him away. He left because he was ready. Not because it got too hard, but because he gave it everything. And that's the only way to end something, with nothing left in the tank and nothing left unsaid. It's easy to quit when life pushes back. Easy to leave when it hurts too much to keep going. But that's not leaving on your terms. That's being pushed out. That's being chased off the court. Kobe faced his injury, Achilles torn, future uncertain, and he didn't fold. He walked to that free throw line. He made his shots. He walked off with his head up, not because he wasn't in pain, but because pain didn't own him. That's what it looks like to finish with power. You don't need the perfect ending. You need a real one. One that proves you didn't run when it got hard. One that shows the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are in it until the end. Fully, completely, without regret. Because the truth is, regret doesn't come from failing. It comes from holding back. From wondering what would have happened if you gave more, worked longer, pushed harder. It comes from knowing you had more to give, but didn't. Kobe didn't let that happen. He emptied himself into the game, into the work, into the craft. And when it was time, He didn't need anyone's permission to step away because he knew he had earned his exit. That's the goal. Not just to start strong, not just to peak in the middle, but to finish on your feet with clarity, with peace, with the strength to say, I gave this everything, and now I'm ready for what's next. You don't get that kind of ending by chance. You earn it, day by day, rep by rep, through sacrifice, through discipline, through the moments no one sees, until one day, when it's finally time to step away, you won't do it out of defeat. You'll do it like a champion.